Hello, good morning, and welcome to Sunday service here, broadcasting from the broom cupboard. It looks like the sound of things. I'm away at the moment, and I just discovered, just as I was about to come on, that the usual people that we go to after we start, which is Sunday Sunday roast with Alex, that they started at 9 o'clock. So I didn't know whether to just go, oh, forget it, we'll just start at 10 o'clock. But so many people are here now, I thought I'd just plough through with it. So a big shout out to Leapshin and to Martin Harrow and Chris C, Witchy Goth, Diz, UK Medc. I'm dropping tons of frames here, so if you're having trouble following what I'm saying, many apologies. It's really not good. And we're dropping some more frames. Okay, cool, fantastic. Oh, fuck my life. It's the fact that I got a new laptop last year to do this specific thing, and it just seems to fail every time to do this specific thing that I want it to do. Graham, are you in the wardrobe? I'm in the closet. I'm not in the closet. Funnily enough, I'm coming out the closet. Although the sun's come out now, so the colour's wrong. Anyway, the exposure's wrong. Sorry. Anyway, so I'm just gonna have a sip of coffee and not care about it. Let me know in the chat if you're following this all right. It's dropping frames all over the shop. Not great. I'm grumpy. I've just been seen as given a free election platform with Laura K. Oh God, not the Farage creep, is it? Again. I'm in the room. This is a wardrobe behind. I'm not in the wardrobe because you wouldn't put handles on the inside of the wardrobe, would you? Lol, says Mixie. How are you doing, Graham? Hope you're keeping well in this doom timeline. Well, yeah, indeed. We're going to talk about that today. So we're going to be talking about how to remove a sitting US president in theory. So let me know if you've got any technical problems watching this, if the sound is off or the video keeps stopping or whatever. Just please let me know in the chat because I've got no way of knowing what the hell is going on unless you tell me. I'm working off a little tiny laptop, you see. So anyway, come on, let's talk about it. So people have been talking about how they would get rid of Trump. And each way that people come up with is even more ridiculous than the last. So let's start with one of the most ridiculous ones, the 25th Amendment. This was put in place in America after John F. Kennedy carked it, because before he actually died, there was a situation where they didn't know who the president was, and they said, well, what if the president is incapacitated, like in hospital or something, or undergoing a treatment, and the Russians invade or whatever. So they changed the rules to say that if in this situation the cabinet of the president, who don't forget is the president's mates, they have to vote and they will put somebody else in as president, which is usually the vice president, in as president. And this has actually happened. So for instance, when Ronald Reagan was shot, his VP became president. He had presidential powers for a little bit until Ronald Reagan got back on his feet. George W. Bush went into hospital when he was in power, and he gave his powers to the VP. Scary enough. While he was there, Cheney, and then once he got out, he got the powers back. Right. So it's never been used like in a hostile way. It's never been used where the cabinet's gone, right, we've had enough of this president who put us in our positions and gave us all these jobs. We're going to vote to take over. So it's never happened. But let's say it did, right? It doesn't just require the for it to be temporary, the cabinet can just vote on it. But the thing is, it also requires the votes of 2/3 of the House of Representatives and 2/3 of the Senate, right? I'm going to come a little bit later on to impeachment and explain why getting 2/3 of the Senate is impossible. But getting a simple majority in the House of Representatives is an uphill battle for people who don't like Trump, or the Democrats, as they're also known. And so the idea that they could get 2/3 in both houses it's for the birds. And anyway, who would you put in charge? J.D. Vance. He's just a weirder clone of Trump. The cabinet is handpicked by Trump. They're his mates. Why would they do this? Half were installed by Doge without any proper Senate oversight. Even if it was invoked, Trump can challenge it and resume his duties unless a 2/3 majority of both houses go along with it. It's just not happening. It's just absolutely not happening. Sound is fine. Sound's fine. Video twitches a bit. Okay, well, I'll try not to move too much. Should I do this? Should I don't move too much, Graham? I can hear my laptop like absolutely straining. I can hear the fan in my laptop. You can probably hear it getting picked up on the mic. It's really loud, and I don't know. Like, it's only running OBS in HD. It's not 4K or anything. I don't think it's 4K. We shouldn't be going out in 4K. If we are going out in 4K, I apologise. It should only be in HD. Morning all. Why am I awake this early on a Sunday? Asks Alex. It's a question I ask quite a lot. Let's set a goal. Should we set a goal of 5 super chats before we go on? All the colours. And how long have we got left of the show? Let's go for 30 minutes, and I'll do an extra 15 minutes if we get the super chats. I'll do an extra 15 mins and then a kiss. Okay, start. Okay, so normally I finish at 10:45, but obviously there's no point in doing that today because they normally do that in order to shunt everyone over to the Sunday roast. But they started at 9 o'clock this morning. Thanks for letting me know, Alex. I had someone send him an angry text. God, it was weird yesterday watching Parliament getting recalled, and Johnny Reynolds is like a mate of mine, like standing up and making this big speech about how important it was and how historical it was to recall Parliament, and I'm like, Johnny. Anyway, he's on Laura Kunsberg this morning, along with by the looks of things Nigel Farage, which you shouldn't be platformed, but he is. So crazy. You're dropping frames like mad, says Leapshin. Yeah, I am. I've dropped 2,374 frames so far. That's quite impressive. Just wondering what I can do to sort of alleviate this. I don't think there's anything I can do while I'm streaming. I can't exactly. Oh well, never mind. Let's crack on. So that's the 25th Amendment, which is there in case the president is incapacitated. That is out of the question. It is simply 100% not going to happen. Okay, the other thing is the Supreme Court might intervene. So the mechanism here is that the judiciary will rule that Trump has violated the Constitution. And this won't work because Trump's SCOTUS is 6'3" MAGA Republican. And they've already granted him effective criminal immunity to anything he wants to do. Chief Justice Roberts is outnumbered and under pressure. And even federal judges face threats of impeachment themselves from the other MAGA lawmakers that they ruled against Trump. So what the Republicans did for a very long time under Mitch McConnell is they blocked any Democrat appointments to these posts, and they only would allow in Republican stooges into these posts as in various states. And it was a very, very successful policy for the Republican Party, because the Republicans are like, well, we'll just make your life an absolute misery, and if we can't have our person, there's going to be no person at all. And because the Democrats tend to, see, they want to see the rule of law. They don't want to see things up shit creek all the time, like the Republicans do. The Republicans are happy to burn America to the ground if it gets them what they want. So they don't care about not passing resolution about budgets, not having someone in a particular position, leaving it vacant for years until they're in power and they can say who that person's going to be. The Democrats don't go down that route stupidly, and they absolutely should. They absolutely should. Like the most egregious position on this was when at the end of Obama's tenure as president, a Supreme Court justice died, and then instead of just putting someone in straight away, the Republicans said, no, you have to wait till the next president comes along. And the Democrats went, all right then, like a bunch of dickheads. And then the Republicans won in that 2016 election. In 2017, they appointed someone to the Supreme Court who was horrific, and they got their pick in. And then that happened again while they were in power, and then it happened, and then it happened just a few weeks before the election. Ruth Bader Ginsburg, she died leaving a position open while Trump was in power. And instead of blocking it until the elections and then getting their person in when Biden won the election, the Democrats are like, oh no, we can't possibly have an open seat on the, we'll have to sort this straight away. And I'm like, no, wait, block it. No, they didn't block it. So as a result, we have a 6-3 majority now for the MAGA Republican lunatics. So that Supreme Court, dead end. Tim Ballum, thank you very much. I'm up as usual for a Sunday morning. I have to take my daughter to rugby. Oh, that's a lovely place. They have a school there, don't they, in rugby? I think it's a posh school. But thank you so much for that, my friend. That is very kind of you. I see if the super chat animation works. Oh, it kind of works. Works on my monitor. I don't know if it's working for you. And then we've also got wonderful Charles Stanhope. Thank you, Charles. Thank you, Charlie S. Supreme Court voted 9-0, demanding Trump return the resident if he ignores this. Democracy is over. Well, yeah, that's another good point. It doesn't matter what the Supreme Court says. Trump can just legally ignore them because the Supreme Court have given him the power to legally ignore anything that anyone says because he's above the law. They said that last year. That's a new rule they brought in. And Biden, being a dickhead, didn't do what he should have done, which was to, arrest Trump there and then, take him off to El Salvador or Guantanamo Bay, or just make him dig a hole in New Mexico, jump in the hole, leave him in the hole. He could have done that legally. Biden could have done that legally. And yes, there would have been a constitutional crisis. But who gives a shit? Like Trump is Trump. That once he's out the way, you get rid of, you remove the man, remove the problem. None of the other Republicans have got anywhere near his level of magical charisma or whatever it is that keeps people voting for the gobshite. They just don't have it. UK Medsy, thank you very much. Bernie Sanders seems to be the only one fighting. Yeah. Thanks for the super chat. Oh, hang on, we got another one from Danny. Thank you very much, Danny. Don't know what to say at the moment. Thank you for giving me the 50 Danish kroner. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. It's very kind of you. DKK. Love a bit of DKK in the morning. Thank you very much, Danny. It's all a bit grim. So the next one, military coup, right? Military coup, top military officers remove Trump for subverting democracy. This won't work. Right, let's say all the things that it won't work. Right, first of all, Trump has purged the Pentagon. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth is a MAGA loyalist. Military culture strongly discourages intervention in civilian government, and Trump now commands a network of private militias and has hinted at pre-authorized pardons for loyalists. Like, it's not going to happen. Like, he let 1,500 terrorists who attacked the American Parliament building, their Congress building, they call it the Capitol. They attacked that and they caused millions of dollars of damage. They ended up killing 9 people, and they injured over 150 police officers. But having said all that, they were terrorists, so he let them off. But there's also the thing of like, a coup d'état never ends well. Like, look at all the times we've had coup d'états around the world. It hardly ever ends well. It ends with a military rule that sits there for 10, 20, 30, 40 years, and it makes a bad situation even worse. So the thing about Trump is, and I'll come back to this at the end of the show, he's mortal. One day he won't be with us. Whereas if you set something into a mechanism up for the military to be in charge of America, that's going to take a lot longer to get rid of. So then you got the other option, mass civil uprising, which people have mooted. Millions take to the street and force Trump to resign. Okay, so here's why it won't work. Trump's waiting for this. He wants it so he can declare he can invoke the Insurrection Act. Once invoked, he can deploy the military domestically and potentially suspend civil liberties, elections, and free speech. Private militias and DHS-aligned enforcers are already targeting protest organisers. So that's already happening. And also, it's going to put a lot of people at risk of imprisonment or worse from the Trump machinery. The Trump, they've got the stranglehold across law enforcement, across the military, and with these private militias like the Proud Boys and the Oath Keepers and all these gobshites, right? Also, it'll just lead to civil war. And I know people have got some kind of romanticized notion of a civil war, but they don't understand what civil war is. Alex Garland, when he made that movie, Civil War last year, he has no idea what a civil war is or what it's like or how most people die in a civil war, which is from either starvation or disease or their injuries. So if you wanted to portray a realistic civil war on the screen, 90 minutes of that film would be someone a family cowering in the basement waiting to die. Because they can't get the medicine. Because there's a civil war. They can't get the food because there's a civil war. You're like, oh, we'll loot the supermarket like in the zombie uprising films. It doesn't happen. Because everyone else will just have the same idea. Supermarkets have to replenish their stock all the time. You think there's going to be anything left? After a week, it'll all be gone. All of it. All the food in America will be gone. People will be hoarding it. People will be protecting it with shotguns. You're not getting anywhere. It's going to be horrific. So let's forget about that one. Fifth idea. We're going to need a bigger Luigi. Yeah. Take him out that way. Someone who's a rogue. Someone who's a bit of a rapscallion. Someone who's a bit of a scallywag. A bit of a rascal. Decides, that's it. Done with this guy. I'm taking him out. And I don't mean for pizza. The problem here is the security around Trump is tighter than ever, with MAGA loyalists dominating the Secret Service. Even if it succeeded, J.D. Vance would become president and Trump would become a martyr. And J.D. Vance on his own is fucking useless. But J.D. Vance with the ghost of Trump, like going, isn't it great that, we're doing all this stuff for the Saint Trump. And that will happen. Trump will be martyred when he carks it because his base are mad. Like, you've got to understand the 77.3 million nutters in America who think that Trump is the second coming of Jesus. Funny looking Jesus, but there you go. Slayer Rocks 2, thank you very much for the £5 super chat there. Will they alter the constitution and electoral process when he does go? I doubt it. It's too hard. It's too hard for them to change the bloody constitution, to put an amendment in. I mean, you're talking about a document that's 250 years old. It's like they're trying to run a 21st century democracy on a scrap of paper written in the 1700s, in the 18th century, before we knew about anything, before we knew about germ theory or evolution or atomic theory or radios or the internet or waves or I mean, Jesus, we didn't even know about Pluto. I don't mean the dog. Oh, we didn't know about Pluto the dog either, but I meant the dwarf planet. We didn't know shit, man. And they said, everyone should have a gun. That'll be all right. Because they had muskets that took about half an hour to load the bastard things. You can take about one person out. On an AR-15, where you can take out, an entire school full of kids before the police get there. But yeah, I've got no faith in the Constitution at all. I speak to some people who are like on the left in America who think the Constitution's going to ride over the hill and save them, and it ain't. It's a piece of shit. It's a terrible document. It needs rewriting. It needs updating. And in fact, Thomas Jefferson said at the time it should be updated every 27 years. Don't know why he picked 27. I think it was 27. It was some mad figure he just plucked out of his arse. But he said every 77 years you need to basically vote to ratify that particular constitution again. Thanks for all the super chat, says Diz. Yes, thank you. It's very kind of everyone who has dropped the super chat in. This morning we have made our target of 5 out of 5, so I will whitter on for another 15 minutes because it's fair enough. I was late getting started. So, Trumpism wouldn't die with Trump if he gets taken out, right? It won't die with him. It will continue on, and he will be the patron saint, untouchable, martyr, held up. So what you need to do is make sure that before that happens, and I'm not saying it has to be someone taking him out for pizza, I'm saying, natural causes. Before it happens, he has to have lost his lustre amongst all of the people who voted for him, and that isn't happening. I mean, like, seriously, even with everything that's happening right now, even with all this horrific shit going on with the tariffs, even with the signal chat, even with these deportations that shouldn't be happening, even with all this, the Trump MAGA lot still absolutely love him because he's their guy. He's their guy, and he can do nothing wrong. You got to understand that. it's going to take a lot for the scales to fall from their eyes. They might never. So, the best theoretical option is impeachment. And I know what you're going to say. Well, Graham, they tried to impeach him twice before. You know this. And I'm like, yep. And they failed twice before. Yep. Well, no, they did impeach him. So, like I mentioned about the 25th Amendment, you've got to have, if the president objects to being kicked out as president, he can have recourse at the Congress, and they need a 2/3 majority in the House of Representatives and a 2/3 majority in the Senate to stop him from becoming president again, right? To stop his appeal. So, in the case of impeachment, it is like this. So the House of Representatives, that impeaches. So that says this guy needs to go on trial for these crimes that he's committed, right? Whatever they call it. They've got a term for it. So high crimes and misdemeanors. That's the one. Thank you, Brian. So in the Senate, they only need a simple majority. Not a 2/3 majority, just a simple majority. So in the midterms, if they have midterms, we'll come to that. In the midterms, if the Democrats take the House by a couple of seats, they could theoretically impeach Donald Trump again. But then it would go to the Senate. And that's not a simple majority. It's not an impeachment. He's already been impeached. Now it goes to trial. He goes to trial in the Senate, and the evidence is presented, and the senators are supposed to be like impartial jury members. But of course they're not. They're part of a party that owes its existence to the guy that they're trying to impeach. Like it's just not going to happen. It didn't happen when Trump was out of power. It's certainly not going to happen while Trump is in power. 2/3 majority means that you need X many of these Republicans to vote to impeach their own president. It's not going to happen. But there are midterms next year, apparently. Let's pretend there are. Okay. So there's 35 seats up for election in the Senate. So the Senate runs on a system of 6-year terms, and every 2 years they change a third of the seats. Okay. So the seats up for this election, there's going to be 22 Republican seats and 13 Democrat seats. So, ripe for the picking, right? Ripe for the picking. There's 3 Democratic senators retiring there. We've got Gary Peters, we've got Tina Smith, we've got Janine Shanine. What a great name, of New Hampshire. So that's going to be more difficult for them to get somebody else because they don't have the incumbent thing. The Republicans at the moment are ahead in terms of voting power. They have 53 members of the Senate, whereas the Democrats only have 45, and then there's 2 independents who caucus with the Democrats. That includes Bernie Sanders. So most GOP, several Democrat seats that are up for grabs, the 13 of them, are in Trump-won states. So Georgia, John Ossoff, and Michigan, and New Hampshire. Yeah, not great. And then we've got the fact that most the GOP held seats in this election are pretty safe. They're over 10%, plus 10. Solid red states. However, we have seen in elections down in Florida where the majority has gone down from 30 plus 30 to plus 15, so they have actually halved their seats. So there is a little bit of hope that a few of these Republicans can be gotten rid of because people are so sick of Trump, but I wouldn't bet my hat on it. The only potential flips, realistically, are Maine, Susan Collins, who doesn't get on with Trump anyway. That's a lean Republican state. That might flip. North Carolina, Tom Tillis, that's a toss-up. And also there's a special election that's going to be held in Ohio. Special elections, it's what we will call a by-election in the UK. It's when a senator is going to be stepping down or gets ill, dies, whatever, and they have a special election. And that'll be a toss-up. So the realistic best-case scenario for the Dems, honestly, maybe 3 or 4 seats. Maybe they might flip the Senate by 1. But it's still absolutely miles short of the 67 seats they would need out the 100 seats in the Senate that they would need in order to actually go through with a conviction following an impeachment of the President of the United States. But here's the thing. The midterms might not even happen. I mean, even if they do, they're gerrymandering shit to like crazy. They're taking people off the voting rolls effectively. The SAVE Act that's going through Congress at the moment is going to disenfranchise tens of millions of women who changed their name when they got married. Honestly, it's going to be carnage. And there's the Insurrection Act of 1807. If Trump invokes this, it gives him the presidential authority to deploy the military domestically and suspend normal functions in times of civil disorder. This is why he wants people to take to the street and start smashing stuff up. This is why you're not seeing minorities going out and doing that. For this very reason. Trump claims that, the signs that this could happen are Trump is declaring that the Democrats are plotting a deep state coup against him. Nationwide protests are breaking out over immigration, censorship, etc. You'll have MAGA-aligned governors around the country declaring state of emergency, and Trump declaring federal elections unsafe or corrupted by foreign agents. Which, actually, you could probably prove they are, or have been over the last few years, just in Trump's favour, that's all, by the Russians who want him there because they hate America and wanted to die. And this is a good way to do that. Tim Ballum, thank you very much for the £5 super chat there. I can see millions of Democratic voters being challenged. Yeah, so could I. That is exactly what's going to happen, mate. You're not wrong. You are not wrong. So yes, once the act is invoked, midterms next year could be postponed for public safety. Trump's emergency powers become nearly unlimited, and there's no constitutional mechanism that requires Congress to intervene or reconvene, in fact. So, and here's the third thing, right? Trump in his third term. On 3. So, repealing the 22nd Amendment, what it says is no person can be elected to the presidency more than twice. To overturn this, Trump would require a constitutional amendment, which requires 2/3 of the House and the Senate, and also ratification by 3/4 of the states of America. So 38 of the 50 states of America have to ratify it. Not going to happen. Not going to happen. So the likelihood of them changing that constitutional amendment, the 22nd Amendment, is functionally zero. But MAGA Republicans have still floated the idea. But here's the thing, right? There's a loophole. Trump runs as J.D. Vance's vice president in 2028. And as soon as he's elected, Vance stepped down immediately. Trump becomes president again. Is this legal? Well, it'll go to the Supreme Court to decide whether it's legal or not. Constitution bans being elected more than twice, but says nothing about serving again. And it will go to SCOTUS, it will go to the Supreme Court, which Trump has he has stacked. And maybe there's an argument to say, well, actually, no, you can't do that because you will be elected as the vice president, and you can't be elected in that office in where you might end up with it. Okay, so here's the other thing you can do. Trump can become the Speaker of the House. Now, here's a mad rule that they have in America. The Speaker of the House doesn't actually have to be a member of the House of Representatives. It can be anyone. And if the Republicans decide to, because they've got the majority, put Trump in as the Speaker of the House, and then the President and the Vice President, the Republican President and Vice President, so say it's J.D. Vance and Marjorie Taylor Greene, say they stand down immediately in the January 2029, the Speaker of the House becomes President, and that Speaker of the House will be Donald Trump. So yeah, not looking good for the whole, we don't want this guy to be in charge anymore, is it? And then, Trump could also just declare dictatorship by emergency powers. Trump cancels elections indefinitely under the pretext of a permanent emergency, which could happen if there's a terrorist attack, if there's a climate change related disaster that hits America that kills millions, he can say, oh, well, I've got to stay in charge now and make sure everything's cool and that everything's cushy. He could declare another pandemic. He could claim mass unrest. He could appoint emergency regional governors. He could muzzle Congress and courts with his executive orders. And he could give out he is giving out pardons to loyalist militias, and he could ban opposition parties. There's literally nothing in the American system to stop him doing this. This is when we look at the British system and we complain about first past the post, and we complain about how antiquated it is, and they start every day with morning prayers, and it's all a bit weird and all a bit bizarre the way that it's done. You can't refer to someone by their real name. You have to call them the Right Honourable Member for Clacton, or no, he's not Right Honourable. The honourable member for Clacton, or Jesus Christ, when you're talking about someone with all the dishonour, like someone like Nigel Farage or Boris Johnson, you can't call someone a liar in Parliament. You can call someone who isn't in Parliament a liar. So once Boris Johnson was dethroned and kicked out, defenestrated from Parliament, they could stand up and call him a liar, which is great. But in America, there were no options. They have elected a Liz Truss, and we had her for 44 days, and she crushed our economy, but it was just us. We're stuck with Trump for 4 years. There's no way to get rid of him. There is literally no way to get rid of him, except the passage of time. He's 79 this year. He's going to be 80 next year. He doesn't look the healthiest, but who knows? Mugabe didn't look the healthiest, and he lasted till he was about 93 years bloody old. So who knows? Who knows? So yeah, he could, the likelihood of a dictatorship in America by emergency powers is increasing with every authoritarian step. It's not really a plan anymore. It's more of a process that they're going through, and they told everyone they were going to do this in Project 2025. So yeah, it's all pretty grim. Legal tools are ineffective. Political pathways are blocked. Institutional checks are hollowed out. Public protest risks accelerating his authoritarian crackdown, and his loyalists control the House, the majority of the Senate, much of the judiciary, and the security apparatus of America. Trump understands power. He knows that rules only matter if someone enforces them. Right now, there's no one in a position to do that over Trump. So, what can we do? Well, first of all, what we can do in our country, in the UK, if you're watching this from the UK, you're watching it from Denmark or Europe or Canada or any other country but the US, you can boycott American products. Put pressure on the big companies. Just don't buy an iPhone anymore because they're made in China anyway. Trump doesn't want you buying. Although he has suspended the tariffs on iPhones yesterday because, I saw yesterday people were getting complaining because Greta Gerwig, to go off a little bit of a tangent here, Graham's tangent, she's going to be directing a new series of Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe films, Chronicles of Narnia, and she's already cast Meryl Streep as Aslan. Brilliant, okay, which has evoked all this rage from people on the internet going, excuse me, Aslan cannot be gender switched. Why not? Because Aslan is Jesus and Jesus was a man. Okay. Two things. First of all, Jesus wasn't a lion. Secondly, when Aslan was voiced by Liam Neeson and they had no problem with it, Jesus wasn't Irish. Just saying, hashtag just saying, wasn't Irish. Not a lion, not Irish. But they were fine with Liam Neeson doing the voice for Aslan. Strange people. Right, let's see what you got to say in the chat. Tommy is saying, I'm sure Trump wants a third term, but the rest of the GOP are going to give up their own leadership ambitions for him. Yeah, because they're weak. They've got no spine. Pete says, Wes Streeting is a nasty man. I don't know where they got off with their cruelty. Totally unneeded. It seems like bad for bad sake for me. I don't know what the hell's happened to Wes Streeting. I think he's just been dropped on his head or something. Simon Smith, great idea was voiced in Congress that women who have changed their name can be vouchsafed by the husband at the polling booth. Is this the 1800s again? Yes, Simon. Yeah, exactly. Trump as speaker, order me a Big Mac, Diet Coke and fries. That's for some sugar. Very good. Truss will have gone sooner if Queenie hadn't kicked the bucket. I know, yeah. She tanked the economy and killed the Queen within a week. Within a week. Bye off to the rugby match. See you, Tim. Thanks very much for the super chats, mate. Cheers. Please tell that to Reeves then. She's refusing to back that idea. Which one? Sorry. Which one? Tommy, the best thing we can do is make sure that we don't reform or the Tories in government ever again. Well, that's the worry. I mean, Refuck and the Tories are both doing about 25% at the moment each. That's terrible because there's only one of them. It's 50%. A lot of people still love Nigel Farage no matter what. No matter what. Without him, UKIP just died. Like, no one votes UKIP anymore. Without him, the Reform Party wasn't going anywhere. It was only when he came back last year that everyone started voting for Reform again. So yeah, I think the best thing we could do is arrest him for invoking for getting people to riot last year. I think he should be arrested and put in jail. Daddy says, never had an Apple anything, never used Amazon, etc. I'm quite ridiculous with things like that. No, it's not ridiculous, mate. It's fine. Gallifreyan Rent. Chris C, a snivelling coward who could extend the current regulations for trans kids to adults and potentially take my hormones away. Yeah, I don't know why he is. Well, we're talking about West Streeting here. It's gobsmacking. Like, why is he doing it? If it was Kemi Badenoch doing this, you'll understand because she's horrible. You know, she's a Tory. She's like that. But West Streeting is supposed to be Labour? I don't get it. I don't understand. One Aggie Pagan says, the US is a young country, Graham. I think many of them feel they need the Constitution the same way that many ASLIC feel they need our monarchy, a feeling of national unity. Yeah, I guess so. I think that they kind of deify the Constitution, which is ridiculous because, you know, the states all have constitutions as well. So there's 50 different constitutions, each for one state, each for each state, and they've all been rewritten many times. But the American Constitution, apparently, it's you know, the people who wrote it, who were slave owners, who didn't know that the world was flat or not. They're seen as these like absolute geniuses who like got nothing wrong ever. Well, they got some things wrong. What can I say? Question is what would he gain from that? Denying your meds is exactly the same as stopping my dialysis or denying a diabetic insulin. Yeah, I know. He's just, look, the West Streeting is just a gobshite. I'm kind of really very, very much sick of him. John Hopkins, Tim Apple paid $1 million donation paid off in the end. Oh yeah, absolutely. Although, you know, they've lost a lot of market cap. Like they're down, what, 300 billion is it, Apple? That horrible little Musk man is down 135 billion from what it was. I could see this where Streeting lost his seat at the next general next election. I'd like that to happen, but there's not enough trans allies. We need more trans allies. That's what we need to do. That should be our, you know, little like project, right? You need to get more people on side, especially in the gay community. Like, it blows my mind that West Streeting is a gay man and he hates trans people. It's like hating lesbians. Why? What are they doing to you? Oh, but, you know, they exist. I'll make their lives more difficult. One Angry Pagan, I personally would be happy for us to become a republic again. Yeah, that didn't go so well last time, though, did it? With old Oliver Cromwell. Yeah, that's the Irish how that went. Anyway, Anne says, I'll stand some chance of joining these Sunday streams if they had a regular time or were advertised or anything. Angry face. Sorry. Yeah, I'm actually on holiday with my family and I'm doing this stream. Like, everyone else is downstairs trying to be quiet because I'm doing this stream because I have to do this every day or I don't get any income. But sorry, I don't advertise it enough. I'll fire the person who does me advertising and marketing and designs me thumbnails and sets everything up in this room. So this works, kind of, but it doesn't work because the internet's not fast enough. My stupid computer that I paid a ridiculous amount of money for doesn't seem to be able to handle like HD video being streamed. It freaks out. We've dropped 11,751 frames so far. Yay. Anyway, so I said I'll do an extra 15 minutes. I'll hang around for another 10, I guess. Fucking hell. Can't win, can you? Where was I? Okay, so the only way that Trump is going to leave the White House is in a box. That's it. End of. And that has to be something that, if you believe in a God, he makes happen. Otherwise, we're going to have to suck it up. But what we can do, or what Americans can do, right? American Democrats and Democratic supporters, I can see that they are feeling like, you know, this isn't... They're feeling like they can't really do much at the moment. But they can. They can continue to hassle their elected representatives, continue to speak out at town halls. They can continue to demonstrate. But obviously, it's kind of up to the middle class, middle-aged white people to demonstrate, because they're not likely to be shot dead in the street, unlike people who are trans or people who are black or people who are Hispanic. They're more likely to be shot dead in the street by Trump's lunatic bastards. But yes, yes, I was unfairly snippy, but at least you'll get a view and a like out of it. Thanks, Sam. Jesus. I think I might just go back to bed. Liz Allen, YouTube keeps trying to put right-wing drivel in my feed despite what I watch. Not the fault of this channel. That's really annoying. And like, it's one of the reasons why I don't watch the right-wing stuff, because I know that if it's this video, oh my God, you won't believe what, what's her name? Liz Truss. You won't believe what Liz Truss has said. And then it's a link to like GB News or something. And you kind of want to see the daft shit that she said so you can comment on it. But at the same time, do you know what I mean? It's like you're adding to the algorithm, and the algorithm's now going to think that you like watching videos of Liz Truss. You like watching Gammon Box News or something. Oh, Caravan Lad, thank you so much for the £3 super chat. That's really kind of you. That's really good. Thank you. And we get a little bird with a thumbs up. Thank you. Thank you for the thumbs up. Thank you for the thumbs up, bird. I'm doom-mongering for the sake for being scared in the future of medication that's keeping me alive. Am I? No, Grimfang 999. There's no doom-mongering in this. There's shitty things that people are doing, and to point out that these things are shitty isn't doom-mongering. It's completely valid. And if people are scared at the moment because the current government seem to have the same problem with trans people that the previous government had, but not the government before them, funnily enough, because no one really cared about trans people before they were told to care about trans people. Well, I'm going to say care about trans people cared about trans people, friends of trans people cared about trans people, but everyone else was just getting on with their lives. But then the tabloid newspapers, Rupert Murdoch and the Barclay brother and the disgusting, vile Earl of Bastard, what's his name, Lord Duke Twatty Face Gobshiteness, who owns the Daily Fail, Rothermere, Lord Rothermere. All those fuckers, they decide, oh well, we've got to stop trans people, haven't we? And everyone got very upset about trans people. They did the same at Europe. Nobody cared about us being in the EU. In 2010, nobody cared. Nobody cared. In 2011, nobody cared. In 2012, nobody cared. And then suddenly in 2013, this absolute gobshite called Nigel Farage comes along and he says, oh, everyone, we've got to leave the EU. It's the most important thing ever. He does all right in the local elections. The Tories panic and change their manifesto to say that we're going to have an in-out referendum on our membership of the EU, something that hardly anyone at that time understood. I didn't. Confess, I studied politics with my A-levels. Went to university, studied politics. Doesn't really know much about the EU because it was boring as hell. Boring. I used to do debating in university. I used to go around the country, did debates in Cambridge, in Oxford, taking part in these debating tournaments. And one of the rules that we had from our team captain was don't talk about Europe. And I was like, why not? Because it's boring. It's just you'll just bore everyone. You won't win the argument because it's just too boring. And that team captain, ladies and gentlemen, went on to be Judge Rinder, Rob Rinder off the telly. So, good advice. Nobody cared. But then we were told that we had to care for some reason. It was very important. It was the most important thing in our lives that we had to leave the EU. And now you're seeing the same thing with trans people. It's the most important thing in our lives that we make trans people's lives a misery for no reason. Because that's the reason why you haven't achieved the things you want to achieve in life. That's why sometimes you wake up and you feel listless. That's why your wife left you. That's why your dog died. That's why all these terrible things that have ever happened to you happen to you. It's all because of trans people existing. It's a weird thing if you take a step back. But if you know a bit about human psychology, like, people just want to they don't want to look at themselves. They don't want to go, oh, I fucked up there. No one wants to admit that they were wrong. You know, they want validation, and they want to be able to blame the other. And for them, trans people are the eternal other. And it also allows them to be deeply, deeply, deeply misogynistic as well. Now, there's a bonus, isn't it? So if you already hate women, you know, have your little Trojan horse of your hatred of trans women, and then you can use that to just hate on cisgender women as well. Great. What a great system. But yeah, human psychology. We are messy, and we are dysfunctional, and we fuck up, we make mistakes, we do things wrong, we don't always get everything right, and we are now inundated with this filtered life that people give to others, that they put on Instagram, you know, Instamoms, pretending that bringing up their kids, they never made a mistake, and everything's fantastic, and this woman has it all, and she's not like stressed out, she's not like, you know, she doesn't have any time for herself, but she's fine, she's got it all, you know. I think that there is a bit of forgiveness that needs to come in for ourselves before anything else, before we tackle the fact that people are stupid and they vote for stupid things like leaving the EU, or Donald Trump, or Boris Johnson. People need to be able to forgive themselves, because otherwise they won't forgive themselves and they'll find someone else to blame. And that might be the EU. It might be trans people. It might be people coming across on small boats who are taking their jobs. They took our jobs. You know, absolute knobs and not nonsense. Thanks Anne. Anne's given me a super chat. Thank you very much, Anne. Forgive me, sob, and have an ice cream. Oh, thank you. I hope SOB doesn't stand for what I think it stands for. No, I get what you mean. Boring is good, says John Hopkins. Yeah, but I mean, it wasn't something that we talked about. We didn't talk about the EU. We just didn't. It just, no one was bothered about it except this little group of weirdos, sketchy weirdos in the corner with their spiral notepads going, hey, it shouldn't be in the EU. Do you know how many rules they have about bananas? It's like, oh my God. Great idea for a Saturday podcast, Saturday morning cartoons. As an avid cartoon fan, I'd be happy to contribute. That's Freya XTVE. Thanks very much, Freya. That's a really good idea and a really good offer. And actually, me and Mike Dix, who's a cartoonist, have been talking about this for quite a while. I've had this idea that's gone back now probably about 18 years. And it's a show called The Orbiters, and there's these two aliens who are trapped orbiting the Earth forever, and all they have to watch is the internet. They have connection to the Earth internet, so it's just them commenting on everything that's happened that week. And it's a bit Space Ghost Coast to Coast. It's a bit Mystery Science Theater 3000. It's a bit Beavis and Butthead. It's really derivative. I don't care. It's going out for free on the internet, so, you know, tough luck. But having a live show where me and Mike do the voices for these two floating aliens, and obviously we'll use AI so that the mouths match up with when we're talking, so we don't actually have to animate it. We could actually do it live, or we could do a pre-record pretty easily. But one of the things I don't like doing is pre-records, because you don't get super chats for pre-records, and for instance, just to show how much like you need to do to get the same sort of stuff back. So if I do a Friday night social, usually take about 100 quid or more in super chats. In order to get 100 quid off YouTube, I'll need at least 80,000 people to watch my videos. And what we got at the moment, I can't even see, we've probably got about like 200 people watching this. It's just unrealistic to think that a pre-record will actually make that much money. So I like the idea of having these aliens floating around talking to you, and your messages coming up, and they're actually talking to you and telling you how much they hate you because you're humans, and they hate humans, and they're trapped for all eternity orbiting the Earth, and all they've got to do is watch what the stupid humans are stupidly doing from one week to the next. Anyway, it's far easier to scapegoat than to solve. We want easy, even if it can harm. Always short term over long term. Chinese are winning due to playing the long game. Yeah, Liz. You're absolutely right. And when the Chinese ambassador, whoever it was on Channel 4, when he said, we're planning for the next 5,000 years. 5,000. He said, we've been around for 5,000 years. America's been around for, what, 250? We survived without America in the past, and we'll survive without America in the future. So the idea that, that China's going to back down on this, I think they are. I don't think they care. They've got enough things set up now so they can take things that they're manufacturing through. They make them in Vietnam or Cambodia or Thailand, who've gone back to a 10% tariff now, along with everybody else. It's only China that's still got this massive tariff on it. And Trump's just brought it down for smartphones. I mean, he's wrecking the economy over there. But no matter what he does, they're not going to get rid of him. They're not going to get rid of him. I wish they would get rid of him. But and there was a mechanism, like there was with trusts in this country. And like I say, no matter how shonky and antiquated and idiotic our system seems, it's still better than the American system. But, there's loads of different flavours of democracy. Democracy isn't a one-size-fits-all. Different countries do better with different types of democracy. I would like to see more devolution in this country, loads more devolution, because I believe in local democracy. I believe in people turning out, feeling empowered, feeling they can actually change stuff. I think that America's too big. I think that maybe if it did split into its constituent states, that might be a good idea. Have a European Union style thing in America where people are free to move around and trade and whatever. But at the end of the day, like the idea that a president, one person, can have this much power over 330 million people is preposterous to me. It's absolutely idiotic. It's more China, where they don't really have elections. It's more China than it is India. Now India's got 1.4 billion people. Like, it's got a lot of people in India. 1.4 billion. However, it's only a prime minister. The prime minister over there, Modi, he's not a president. And if they want to get rid of him, there are ways of getting rid of a prime minister in ways that you can't get rid of a president. So yeah, maybe down the line there'll be a big reset. Maybe things will change once he's gone. Maybe they'll say never again, and they'll put things in place to ensure that this doesn't happen again. But in the meantime, we just have to ride it out. It's the only way. And my silver lining on all this is mortality. Trump is mortal. He's not going to be around forever. Thank God. At some point, he is going to be not here anymore. He's going to be, I don't know, pushing up the daisies somewhere on a golf course. I don't know. But one way or another, most of us watching this are going to last longer than Trump, put it that way. And so we've got to plan for our future in a post-Trump world once he is gone. And America needs to put things in place. What the Republicans need, what the Democrats need to do, and I don't know if they've done this already, but they need a project 2030 or something. Do you know what I mean? They need a project 2029, something like that, right? And it can be a blueprint of how to stop this from ever happening again. And they need to get people on board, constitutional scholars, whatever, to go, like, this is how we do it. This is how we go about doing this. And it has to be a plan. The Heritage Foundation have been planning for this moment where we are living now since the 1970s. They've been planning it for 50 years. And now it's here. It won't work. And that's the other good thing. So Trump's mortal. Good thing. The other thing, it won't work. Like, because of Trump. I'm sure that the people behind Trump, there's some of them who are very, very capable and very, very evil, very, very smart. Trump is not. Trump is mercurial. He's an idiot. He thinks any idea that pops into his stupid fat head is a good idea. And that's not a good leader. That's not a good way to lead anything. And when they say to him, we want you to do this, he goes, oh, okay, yeah, I'll do that. But then he goes off and puts tariffs on everyone. because he wants to be on the TV screens of every television in the world. He wants everyone watching him because he's just seeing this as a TV show. He's in his own little world where it's a reality TV show. It's WrestleMania. It's The Apprentice. It's entertainment. And that's why so many people in America like him, because he gives them the entertainment they crave. They want that. And some of it, yeah, it's very sadistical. I mean, wrestling is arguably sadistical. You're watching somebody hurt another human being. I mean, I know it's fake, but it taps into that thing of someone falls over and there's a human desire to laugh at that person falling over. It's sadistical, and a lot of humans have got that sadist gene in them. And that's what Trump does. He allows people to be the little sadist that they want to be out loud with all their chest. Okay, so One Angry Pagan ends us with a wonderful quote from Lord of the Rings. So do I, and so do all who live to see such times. But it is not for them to decide. All we have to decide is what to do with the time that is given us. Great line from Lord of the Rings. I'm going to get off now. I'm going to just try and get the credits working. They probably won't because, oh my God, I'm having such technical problems today. It is kind of ridiculous. But you know, we're getting there. We're getting there, slowly but surely. We are getting there. Okay, cool. Right. So, right. Okay. I think this will work. If it doesn't... Oh, wow. Do you know what? I was recording that whole thing. Why was it recording? Who said to start? That might have been why it wasn't working. I might have hit the start recording button at the beginning. So it was recording locally onto my computer while it was... Can I start again? No. Oh, Jesus. And the credits just came up too early. Oh, right. Okay, so I'm going to just go and put my head in the bucket and scream. I will... I don't think I'll do a show tonight. It's a bit difficult, crammed in this little room, this little hotel room. I'm going to go off and play with my family. So I'll be back tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock for Morning Brew. Hopefully everything will work. Jesus. That's why it buffeted. No, it's still dropping frames. I've stopped it recording and it's still dropping frames. I think it's just my internet on my computer is just shit. But thank you for sticking with us. Give us a like, please. I'm going to try and get the credits to roll correctly. They probably won't, but I'm going to give it a red hot go. Okay. So here we go. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks for all the chat. Thanks for all the super chats. And until next time, if this works, I'll say hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye.